In the lead editorial of this month's The Nation, Michael T. Clare outlines some facets of the new post-war world we are destined to enter. He concludes it with a desperate entreaty to progressives and peace lovers to keep the faith, to continue advocating for all the essential things that are now going to be neglected while our tax dollars pour into our war machine. Quote, "We cannot abandon our fundamental objectives even in a time of heightened international tensions," he says. "Otherwise, the battle for other priorities such as health and education and social and economic justice will surely be lost." Before he wraps up his piece with his desperate cheerleading, Clare lists some of the bad things that are going to happen in this post-war world. Quote, "The unabashed militarism on display during Biden's trip to Poland is likely to reverberate not just on Capitol Hill, where Democrats and Republicans are competing to raise the Pentagon budget even higher, but in Asia, Africa, and South America, where rearmament serves to further entrench privileged elites and the authoritarian rulers who serve their interests," he says. Since cessation of wheat deliveries from Russia and Ukraine, two of the world's leading grain exporters, may well lead to a global food crisis. Oh boy. And Clare's cogent predictions don't end there. All this is being accompanied by an ideological offensive, the likes of which have not been seen since the onset of the Cold War, he says. Biden's conveniently polarizing narrative, posing the question as whose is going to prevail? Are democracies going to prevail or are autocracies going to prevail? Is already saturating the media, think tank discourse, and the political arena, and if history is any guide, may soon be accompanied by restrictions on dissent, unquote. Thank you very much, United States warmongers, for choosing aggression over restraint and dealing with a post-Soviet Russia. That country fought valiantly against Hitler and lost millions of civilians, many who died horribly in the Holocaust and the siege of Leningrad, while our private citizens were tucked away between two oceans. And after the Soviet Union broke apart, this country, in its strutting arrogance, pushed NATO into Central and Eastern Europe, further deflating and humiliating Russian leaders, while dozens of foreign policy experts warned against such measures. In June of 1997, a group of 50 prominent foreign policy experts, including former senators, retired military officers, diplomats, and academicians, presented an open letter to President Clinton which concluded, "Russia does not now pose a threat to the Western neighbors, and the nations of Central and Eastern Europe are not in danger. For this reason, and the others cited above, we believe that NATO expansion is neither necessary nor desirable, and that this ill-conceived policy can and should be put on hold." Stanley Resor, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, chairman of the board of directors of the Arms Control Association, made the following remarks in a press conference announcing the presentation of this letter. Quote, "A key, if not the key, to U.S. interests in Russia is a rapid and substantial reduction of the tens of thousands of Russian strategic and tactical nuclear weapons and the hundreds of tons of nuclear material which are still deployed or stored throughout that nation some 6 years after the end of the Cold War," he said. "Progress toward these goals will require comprehensive and sustained cooperation between the U.S. and Russia and a strengthening of mutual trust and confidence. The Clinton administration's plan for NATO expansion is already undermined, and its implementation will raise further obstacles to the establishment of the kind of relationship that is critical to success in arms control." After the Senate ignored all the warnings and approved NATO's expansion, the American diplomat George Kennan told the New York Times, quote, "I think it is the beginning of a new Cold War. The Russians will gradually react quite adversely, and it will affect their policies. I think it's a tragic mistake." And how many of you are just going along with all the crap the TV news and major newspapers and other mainstream media outlets are spewing? Shame on them. There was a time that we could trust them to report the actual news. Now they're saturating our country with propaganda. You think you know what the hell is going on over there in Ukraine? You don't. I don't. Only the people over there know. And meanwhile, the American war machine is licking its chops, looking forward to its windfall, content in the knowledge that the American people aren't reserving some of its rabid criticism for the United States war machine that's doing everything it can to keep this war going. And please stop yelling at me that I'm defending Putin. I'm not defending Putin. I'm criticizing the United States. If there was more criticism going on of the United States during the past 40 years, this country wouldn't be in the mess that it's in. This is what I'm trying to talk about, not Putin, for God's sake, but how stupid that this country is with its inexcusable, nonstop warmongering at the expense of its citizens. You have fantasies of brave little Ukraine defeating Russia with the help of big bad America and our big bad weapons, and you're not even thinking about how horrible this will be in years to come for everyone on the planet, including you and me.